All right, are we ready to go? All right, with that, I will call to order this regularly scheduled meeting of the Redevelopment Commission on March 12th. And I will ask you for a roll call, please.
Absolutely. Sharon Bryant.
Present.
Jimmy Dillahunt.
Here.
Sarah Proctor.
Here.
Leander Morgan Jr.
Here.
Steve Strickland. Julius Parham.
Here.
Kip Paraguay.
Here.
Beth Walker.
Here.
Tabari Wallace. Rick Prill. Barbara Best. Hazel Royal. Madam, you have a quorum.
Thank you very much. I would like to now have the commission consider approving our agenda. If you've had a chance to look over your packet, you see the agenda that's before you. Can I get a motion to approve it?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries and the agenda is approved. We have one more thing to consider approving, and that is the meeting minutes from our last meeting in February. Has everyone had a chance to look over those meeting minutes? Mm-hmm. And if there's no, or is there any discussion about the meeting minutes?
Make a motion we approve the minutes as submitted.
We have a motion.
Second.
And a second. Mm-hmm. All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from February, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
And all opposed? All right, thank you. And that motion carries. The meeting minutes are approved. The next thing on our agenda is our mission statement and our guiding principles. And I usually pick on the person on the end, so I'm going to do that tonight. Commissioner Paraguay, will you read our mission, please?
I surely will.
Thank you.
The New Bern Redevelopment Commission, leading the way for community transformation and improvement by directly addressing community needs in the vital areas of public health, infrastructure, housing, and economic development. The Commission is committed to an accountable, transparent, and publicly driven process.
Thank you. And our guiding principles, I'll get you to start those for us, Commissioner Bryant.
Past, present, future, and equal times.
Respect others' opinion.
Listen to build consensus.
Share accurate information, public perception.
Stay focused. Be action oriented.
Believe.
You got the best one down there. Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. Believe. Thank you, everybody, for that. And now we have our time of public comment. This is where we invite the public to speak. You have 4 minutes to speak. And I see public people out there tonight, so we might actually get public comment.
Well, Madam Chair, I would like to actually take a moment tonight to introduce Chase Borner. He's a senior planning major at ECU. And for his practicum project, Chase has chosen to focus on the redevelopment zone of New Bern. His project will give a refreshed overview of the vacancies and residential stock available in the redevelopment boundary area. Additionally, his project will overlay that data with flood and hazard data that will better inform us about residential development and feasibility. Today, Chase took a tour, a personal tour of the district, and tonight he's here to greet you as well as to answer any of your questions. Just for your own information, Commission, he'll be back later on in the semester to present his findings to us.
Nice. And you say he got to spend the day touring the redevelopment area with you?
Absolutely. And he's still here. He hasn't run away.
He's standing before us now. Well, welcome, Chase, and we're excited to have you select us to be part of your senior practicum. Is that what you said?
Yes,
okay. Excellent.
What did you learn today?
A lot about the Redevelopment Commission and the redevelopment boundary and everything to do with mapping the area and finding all the data. It's very interesting.
Are you from around here?
I'm from Raleigh. Yes, ma'am.
And you're a senior at ECU?
Yes, senior at East Carolina.
It's good you picked New Bern instead of Raleigh.
Yes, sir.
What's your major, like what's,
City planning,
okay,
yes.
you might have said that.
So you'll be here the whole semester or off and on? How does that work?
I'll be in contact with Mr. Hoff throughout the semester, working on this project.
Okay.
Nice.
So what stuck out in your mind most about the redevelopment area as a whole?
Mostly the underdeveloped parcels, as well as, brought this up to Mr. Hoff, but the roads in the redevelopment area, I think could have improvement as well. So just looking at the area as a whole and the housing as well.
I think you're going to do fine.
Yeah. When you're talking about the roads, let me just put something right quick. Over the past years, they were always talking about the roads in the undeveloped areas, the redevelopment area, and basically Duffield. And the question came up about how do we do that? How do we do the roads? How do we expand them? And you can help me with this, and I guess it might be part of your research. You come back and let me know. But someone used to tell us the biggest problem is relocating the homes back away from the street.
Yes, sir.
Some of them are private, some are around, and they said a lot of times that problem was caused because that will be a problem because the owners didn't want to spend the money to move the houses back.
Yes, sir.
And that was, am I right about that?
Yes, sir, you're correct, yes.
Okay. So I guess, that comes with a whole lot of grants.
Well, thank you.
Yes, thank you for joining us, and we look forward to hearing what you bring back to us at the end of the semester. All right, is that what we have for public comment?
Yes, ma'am.
Looking out there, no, your head's nodding, okay. All right, well, thank you. We will move on to our new business.
No items were submitted for new business this month.
That's why it's blank.
That's
Okay. In our old business, we have project teams for both the West A Street project and the 911 Eubanks project. And this would be a good time to discuss where those projects are and what might be going on, what might be holding them up still, what we have going on. So
A Street.
start with West A Street.
Okay. Was it last week or week before last, we had a lengthy conversation with the surveyors, and Jamie was on that conversation as well as Zeb and myself, and it basically boiled down to two things. We had been talking about an abandoned street that goes through that property and how that worked, and then there was the main issue of the railroad right-of-way. The GIS maps that the city has and so forth show a 100-foot right-of-way down through that area from the station on down to Biddle Street. When you hit Biddle Street, the right-of-way expands to 200 feet. But we're in the section where it was showing, and all the maps that we had just showed a 100-foot right-of-way. But the surveyor and the railroad have both confirmed that they're going to take 200 feet all through there. So we had to expand the railroad right-of-way an additional 50 feet on our side to create that 200-foot right-of-way. And it ran at an angle across the rectangular piece of property that we had, of course, so that we have now less footage on the back of the lots than we do on the front. And then the other property down on the other end of that street, where we actually tore down a house. That piece of property has come into dispute as to who owns that, even though we thought we did, and we took down the house there. The neighbors are claiming that property now, and so that, depending on the outcome of that, we will be another 26 feet less property than we thought we had. The whole story about this is why we wanted to get it surveyed, because we could have really gotten into a big pile of trouble otherwise, and that's why we've been diligent about getting a legitimate survey of that property to know exactly what we have to work with. The end result of all this is that if we were to subdivide this existing block, the remaining block after everybody took a chunk of it, that we would be down to 4 40-foot lots instead of the 6 to 7 that we had originally thought that we had there. So that's where we are.
What's the size of the lots?
40-foot wide, 100-foot deep.
40 by 100, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did the neighbors claim their property?
Oh, I'm gonna look that way.
Let me get a legal thing on this one.
Yes, sir. Madam Chair, members of the commission, good evening. It is my understanding that the property owners that own adjacent to the western boundary of the West 8th Street parcel have made representations to having a deed that includes frontage that we believe our deed covers. In my conversations with Mr. Huff, who's been in constant communication with the property owners, I've not seen anything in the registry of record that would have a deed that evidences their interest. So what I have asked is that they give the deed book and page for the instrument that they are saying evidences their interest. I think that conversation was a couple of weeks ago. We do not have that information as of yet. If it were to materialize, then certainly we will bear that information in mind as we move forward. But as all of you know, you don't have an interest in land unless it's recorded. So we will see if there's something that perhaps missed the registry, if there's something in the registry that just didn't readily come up in a search. We will have that information and we will move forward accordingly.
Thank you.
So it's my understanding that the railroad right-of-way is a definite increase to 200 feet, and this one is still being figured out, whether the
railroad right-of-way is 100 feet on either side of the center line of the track. Interestingly, you find that information in the railroad charter from the 1800s. So that we know for certain. As Mr. Paraguay indicated, there is a question of what we believe may have been an abandoned right-of-way. There used to be a street called E Street that was in that corridor. We know for certain that the city closed the E Street right-of-way north of the railroad track. To the south of the railroad track is in question. And I don't know off the top of my head what the dimensions are for that portion of the right-of-way that is on the West 8th Street property, but that is something that we are undertaking efforts to untangle, which may create some additional square footage, which might increase your developable property.
The abandoned road right away is insignificant in the whole thing. It's a small triangle, and like I say, because the railroad cuts on an angle across the property, we might gain 25, 30 more feet, but it will be a small triangle and adds nothing to overall development of the property.
But the important thing that all of Mr. Paraguay's comments go to is making sure that the parcel that you all package for redevelopment is something that a investor or developer will be able to get title insurance for. Right. Because obviously if someone's going to make a substantial investment to improve this property, they're going to want to make sure that they have good title. Right. So your efforts are not in vain at all whatsoever. Doing this untangling on the front end is going to prevent a lot of headache on the back end.
Okay.
Is there a time limitation on the people who claim to have the land that we thought we had, or that is ours? Is there a time limitation for them to produce that document, or is that?
We have not imposed a due date. Certainly we're trying to be reasonable. Up until this point, I think Mr. Huff would agree that the neighbors have been cordial and congenial in communicating with the Redevelopment Commission and trying to get this matter untangled. So long as everybody's operating in good faith, I think that we can proceed as we have been, unless you direct us otherwise.
I would only add to those comments that they actually initiated us in the discussion. We didn't initiate with them; they initiated with us, and so to Madam Attorney's point, they've been very, very amenable.
Mm-hmm. When did they initiate? Because you would have thought that we tore down that house about 2 years ago, and we heard nothing from them at that particular juncture.
Yeah, it was around the time we did the demolition of the 2 remaining structures and we cleared the land that they came into development services and requested a meeting with me.
Yeah. Once you clean the property, I'm gonna claim it. That's what it is. Yeah. Right.
And let me ask, what zone is that in? See, is that a C3?
It's R6.
It's R6.
R6.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because if they were property, they should have been taking care of the vacant house, correct?
Yeah, and if they want to claim the property, I think we ought to send them the bill for tearing the house down. It was $7,280.
That's an eye opener.
And
Okay.
then,
Okay.
what did you say the square footage of that lot was again? 49.
If we wanted to subdivide it into single-family lots, they would be 40 by 108.
Okay.
And that would yield 4
Yeah,
lots.
that would yield
Four
4.
lots.
Okay.
And that would accommodate R6 as for the building number, the
Yes.
square footage.
Mhm.
Mr. Dillahunt, in the redevelopment area, there's an overlay that in the R6 zoning designation, in the redevelopment area, you can actually go smaller than in other R6 areas in the city.
Okay.
Yeah, we have 5-foot setbacks and about 15-foot front setbacks, somewhere along the line. But they're in our plan. We have a different set of setbacks for all of our lots in the redevelopment area.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay. Well, I appreciate all of your efforts on trying to untangle this and meeting with the surveyors and keeping everything going. All the team that's been working on this, so appreciate you updating us tonight. It seems like we actually got an update that is moving forward. Whether we like it or not, it's still an update that helps us, as Jamie said, helps us develop and make this land desirable for somebody to develop. The 911 Eubanks Street property. I'm going to think that you're going to update on that?
I am going to give an update on
Okay.
that. Last meeting, you all gave guidance to initiate the sealed bid process. At this present moment, we're working with 2 folks actively who have toured the house, and they're getting their packet together, and they do anticipate turning their bids into the city clerk prior to Monday. So we should have at least 2 bids in our April meeting to look at. The marketing efforts were done per your guidance. I just wanted to follow up and let you all know that city website, social media, and we didn't do Zillow, it was realestate.com allowed us to do a for sale by owner advertisement. We did put together a poster, and we've posted them at the recreational centers as well as City Hall and a number of other locations around the city. So we fulfilled our requirement for CDBG, and I think we've done a good job, and we have at least 2 turning in a bid on that property. So I'm hopeful that those will be adequate and responsible bids, and that we'll be able to accept that and get someone to occupy that home by next meeting.
Good deal.
That is excellent news. All right, thank you for that. I know that's been a lot of work for a long time, so I appreciate that update. And right back to you, Executive Director Huff, for the staff report.
Okay, well, I want to take a moment to acknowledge the hard work and dedication of everyone involved in our redevelopment efforts. February was a month of continued progress and meaningful conversations and laying the groundwork for what's ahead, not necessarily a whole lot of new work. We did quite a few community engagement and outreach events, including work done at Stanley White Recreation Center and a roundtable. We've met quite a bit with residents and local organizations to ensure community voices remain at the center of our work, including participating in the CDBG listening session last month. Work progresses on multiple redevelopment projects, including the Health and Wellness Center as well as the Bloomfield Street project and I believe the Bern Street project is nearing time for a certificate of occupancy. And so I was in contact with the homeowner and told him that we definitely want to celebrate his win with him because it's a community win. Our finances, I put in your packet this evening a financial report as always. The beginning balance of the general fund was $836,711.02. At the end of February, the fund balance stood at $836,222.30. The $495 expenditure was the appraisal for 911 Eubanks Street and will be reimbursed to us after the property is sold. As always, staying connected with the community is essential, and I encourage everyone on the commission to attend the upcoming meetings that we have scheduled for the end of March into April. Our Choice Neighborhood Initiative moves on in partnership with the Housing Authority, and just in case you didn't have those meetings on your schedule, the Commission has been invited to participate on May 18th and May 19th. If you'd like to attend that, please let me know as we need to RSVP. I also just want to highlight the People's Assembly that meets on the second Tuesday of every month, and the Duffield Residents Council that meets on the second Thursday of every month. At the end of the day, this work isn't just about buildings and infrastructure; it's about people. So every conversation matters. Every time you show up with your snazzy jackets, it matters. And I just want to thank you for all the work that you're doing and the engagement in the community that you are involved in. At this time, I'll take any questions from the Commission.
Couple additional updates that are not in your report.
Sure.
Is anybody living in the Walt Bellamy houses yet?
No, nor will they be. So you remember when Mr. Barner gave us his presentation, those houses are earmarked for replacement houses when Trent Court is redeveloped. And so they have to be held aside so that there is empty housing stock available for the families currently residing at Trent Court. And so there are those 3 homes as well as a couple of other homes that the Housing Authority is purchasing and developing specifically for the purpose of having affordable and accessible houses available to Trent Court residents when it's time for the relocation effort.
And okay, so those houses could sit vacant for another year and a half, 2 years?
I would hesitate to comment on that,
Okay.
seeing as they no
Don't
longer
we don't
belong
put you
to
on the
us.
spot. Okay, and the other update that I would like to hear about is the work of Mrs. Shields.
Absolutely. Actually, she said she was going to be here tonight. I would have punted that to her. So grant writing for the commission is a bit of a conundrum, and those of you who've been involved in the project team will understand that we don't have our own EIN, and so all of our grants run through the city. And so we actually met with the city finance team this past week to figure out a grant workflow. We have that figured out. Ms. Shields has that now, and I anticipate that in the fall, towards the fall time, we'll get a number of grant applications for submittal for specific projects going into the new fiscal year.
Okay, I have a question.
Sure.
Understanding, hopefully I did understand what you said. Those houses on Bloomfield Street are in reserve for the housing authority. Did I understand you correct?
No, sir. We were talking about the Walt
Walt
Bellamy.
I'm sorry.
Walt Bellamy, and they no longer belong to us. They belong to the Housing Authority for their purposes. So I just want to make that very, very clear.
Okay, second question. Is any of the future houses that may be built, are they going to be the same way? Are they going to be open?
At this point, there is no agreement in place to that end.
Okay, now are we working on such agreement?
We've inquired about an agreement to that end, and we have not received any feedback from the Housing Authority as far as their willingness or appetite to enter into an agreement like that with us.
And you did say the Housing Authority is in the process of relocating the residents.
That is part of their long-term plan for redeveloping Trent Court, yes.
Do they have time set on that?
No, sir. And even if they did, I would hesitate to comment on that as I have no control over it.
You basically asked, and I'm just trying to see if we had a bunch of houses, would they be interested in buying them?
Right.
So why we say if would be a 10 houses, what would be the status of those 10 houses?
I'm
Put them
happy
on-
to...
Put them on the fair market, or the Housing Authority proper would buy them?
Yeah, we crossed that bridge with the open market previously. We're, as a commission, as a public body, we're not allowed to sell on the open market.
Right.
The city can sell on the open market. Am I correct? I'm not correct.
No.
Redevelopment commissions and cities are creatures of statute. So when you are going to sell public property, which redevelopment commission housing would be public property, we have to use one of those mechanisms that are outlined on your chart. So upset bid, sealed bid. There is a process to do a direct sale to an entity carrying out a public purpose. But when we're saying open market, if you're talking about a sale, a negotiated sale between a redevelopment commission and a particular individual without a competitive bidding process, that is not permitted.
Right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for that clarification.
Is it not
Commissioner
still
Moore?
one of the priorities of the commission to make citizens, homeowners?
Homeownership is still currently a major priority for the redevelopment commission.
So what are we doing to lead up to making some of the citizens homeowners back in the redevelopment area?
Absolutely. I think the project back on Bloomfield Street points directly to home ownership opportunity, wherein we were able to dispose of the land to a developer who would develop with restrictions so that homeowner opportunities would be made open on the public market. So we've yet to see how that works out, but we're very hopeful. Unshakable Builder has a great track record for making that happen. In addition, utilizing CDBG funds like we've done with 9/11 Eubanks, while it's been a rocky road, the end result will be home ownership, and so it's worth revisiting to see what future projects we can do to that same end.
So now that we're making progress on the Bloomfield Street properties, what's going to be our next target as it relates to properties back in the redevelopment area?
Well, ultimately, that lands with you all and the guidance that you all give. I think it also is tied into land acquisition, which we named as one of our priorities for this fiscal year. And so, as we go into closed session and we discuss those potential acquisitions, opportunity will open up for us to be creative as far as what projects we get into. And I anticipate at the end of this year we'll have a new slate of projects and project teams that we can move forward and make some more progress on that.
Thank you.
And because that's what we were talking about with the West A Street project.
Yep.
That's why it was so important to have the boundaries clear and understood so that the developer could develop that for more of a private sales situation.
Thank you.
And another thing too, Rob, is with us being board members, I know Zeb does a lot, but we're out there in the neighborhoods more sometimes, and some things we know that might be available. We need to bring it to him, and this is our idea. Why can't we approach this? Because the board is responsible for coming up with the ideas.
Yes, sir.
And then we sell it to a contractor. So we're going to be the one responsible for making sure housing is available.
Then we need to get busy as a board and as a commission to make sure that we're using some of this property that
Exactly. Yeah.
that the redevelopment commission has acquired
Yeah.
so that we can go ahead and start some of these projects.
And the project on, that we're doing now, that the gentleman from Greenville is doing, I mean, that's Bloomfield, that's a prime example of where we're headed. Yeah, and it's, yeah. Now, I got one question though. When we're talking about the grants, did we miss the opportunity during our work session back in January where we probably should have had Ms. Shields at that meeting? And the reason I ask because, both the presenters were talking about grants. And they were talking about monies. They were talking about some projects that look good. I don't know how much longer the money is going to be available around here, but did we miss that opportunity? Should we have invited her to that? What do you think? Your thoughts?
I think I'll take a different tact in answering if it's okay with you.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do know that Ms. Shields personally reviews all of our meetings, and so she did get the information that you all got. And she and I and Beth Madam Chair, are in constant communication. So we really are working hard to unravel the way that we can go ahead and unlock some of these funding positions.
Right.
And I think that the key is like what Zeb said earlier, is finding the methodology for the grants to move forward the vehicle, because she can't work. We can't be an entity ourselves. We are part of the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're trying to work on that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
I do have one more question.
Yes, sir.
What are we doing to pre-qualify anyone that maybe want to become a homeowner? Are we doing anything? Do we have a person to pre-qualify that person through the bank or wherever?
Yeah.
So we have financial partners that we can make referrals to, but there is no one on city staff, including myself, qualified to pre-qualify individuals. Jacksonville does have a program where they do financial literacy, and I've referred several residents to the Jacksonville education classes simply because they're online and you can sign up for them and attend via Zoom. So a couple of people have gone that route, but we don't have anything locally that we can do in-house.
Would it be feasible for us to set up something like that?
It would take multiple certifications and those kinds of things, and if the commission found that something worthwhile to invest in, I could certainly investigate what that would take if that's what you'd like. I would remind the commission, however, that is a job or two in and of itself, and you all have only one staff member. So
yeah, that sounds like a dedicated. And when we were at our retreat, she made that clear.
Yes.
That it was a dedicated staff member that was required to do that.
I think we should continue to use that resource, like she offered it to us and you sent folks to it. I mean, it's the next county. I feel like that's a good option, and listen until we grow. So
absolutely. And I do like her stats. If you remember, she has 0 homeowners that have been repossessed. So
that is great.
Or foreclosed. So
Thank you.
If that's all.
All right, thank you.
That's my staff report, Madam Chair.
Staff report with lots of questions and answers. We appreciate you going through those.
One more thing. I'm so
Yes, sir?
sorry. I lied. That's not the end of my staff report. The new CDBG annual application is due this Friday. So I'm asking you all to pay attention to your inboxes, as I will be sending the application out to you before it goes to city staff for review, so that we can be included in that conversation. So that's just an announcement more than a report.
Okay. Well, you did mention that we do need to go into closed session tonight to discuss the acquisition of property.
Yep.
So at this point in time, we will ask our audience to leave, and we will. First, actually,
You'd like to entertain a motion?
sorry, I saw the attorney looking
Yes,
at me. She's
ma'am.
like, "Oh, you did."
Pursuant
I need
to-
to have a motion from one of my commissioners to go into closed session.
Yes, ma'am, and that motion will be pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 31811A5 to discuss the potential acquisition of real property.
Thank you. Does anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
A motion and a second to go into closed session, as the attorney said per statute. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, we will move to closed session, and now we will dismiss everybody and turn off the technology.
Madam Chair, we are back in open session.
All right, thank you. And we have no other business tonight, so may I get a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much for your time and your attention tonight. Appreciate it.